Hey guys, it's Renee Bowen, and I'm going to be talking to you about Gen Z today. Now, if you followed me for a little while, you know this is kind of my thing. So I have spoken at length about Gen Z, and I talk about them constantly inside of my Facebook group and my membership and my coaching. But I really wanted to put something together for you guys for this that was a little bit different and more current, right? So things that we're dealing with right now. Now, Gen Z has ushered in a whole era of change for us as senior photographers. But now, after this whole thing that we're going through right now, and the uncertainty of it all, it's going to really cause us to rise up and be our own heroes in our businesses and cause us to be really creative in our marketing and everything across the board. So this is like a supercharged change that's coming. And you can choose to either look at it as the end of the world, or you can choose to look at it as an incredible opportunity, which is what I'm choosing to do. And I hope you join me in that. So I'm going to run a little presentation for you guys that I created for you. I have a lot of stats and data. I'm a Virgo. I can't help it. I have a lot of information and I talk really fast. So I'm going to run it as a presentation. I'm not going to just be talking head the whole time, but I am going to be up in the corner of your screen. So I'll be there chatting with you as we go through explaining everything. And then I'll come back at the end and say goodbye and encourage you guys to reach out to me if you have any questions. So let's get started. Okay, guys, let's get started. So yeah, let's talk about Gen Z and marketing. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly on some of these, but you can always screenshot stuff. So here we go. I want to cover in this lots of data and stats for you, just so you have them. If you were at the Seniorologie conference, Conference 12, you might have seen some of these, but I have updated them as well. And it's just really good information for you guys to have. So just, hang on to those. Also marketing to Gen Z using that data, why traditional model teams aren't necessarily working for Gen Z clients. We're going to talk about the importance of your communication and brand language, which is incredibly important. And then going forward, we're going to talk about how to market to Gen Z in the unknown, because it's what's on our mind right now, right? So I want to definitely cover that for you guys as well. So we basically have a world before COVID-19 and after. And so I am going to talk to you about everything that, like the basics of Gen Z marketing. We're going to cover all that, the stats. Like I said, I want you to have all that on your radar, because most of those are not necessarily going to change, right? However, we're going to also touch on some things that you can and should be doing now in your business moving forward, because these are uncertain times. So just a little heads up on that. We're gonna get to all of it. All right, so Gen Z, who are they? Why do they do what they do? Understanding how to market to them. So really, it's really interesting, because a lot of people have equated this generation to the generation that came out of the Great Depression, because these kids were born right after 9/11. And they also have a lot of the same values as that generation. That's they're called the greatest generation, the ones that came out of the depression, the Great Depression. So it's really interesting, because surveys consistently show us that Gen Z, young people today, embody old-timey values like personal responsibility, a strong entrepreneurial work ethic, self-sufficiency, intense preference of quality over quantity, and appreciation for spending time in person with friends and family, which is really, really important. And we're going to talk about why that is in just a little bit. So you're going to kind of see, as we go through all this, a little bit of the details. We're going to talk about how they are really the most savvy generation of teens that we've really ever seen. And for those of us who have been in business for a while, my clients were millennials when I first started. I first started in like 2007, 2008. And these guys are really different, like really, really different. I've been seeing changes for the last like 3 years or so. And yes, I am on the West Coast, but I promise you, these changes are coming to you if you haven't seen them yet. And we'll talk about why that is too in just a little bit. Anyway, most of the marketing that we've been taught over the last several years just doesn't really apply to Gen Z clients. And a lot of photographers who have been really successful already in this business are seeing a drop in business, drop in lack of interest, in general, lack of interest in model teams. And I've kind of been anticipating this change since about 2014. I wrote an article called Gen Z Doesn't Care About Your Brand, I think it is, one of the magazines. And I talk a little bit about that in that article because they really, really, really want very, very different things. And even now, like the Gen Z, so the clients that we have now, class of 2020 and younger, are so much even more different than the ones that we've seen before. All right, so these are some of the slides that you may have seen before if you were at Conference 12. I'm not going to go over every single bullet point here. I just want to go over some of the hallmarks because again, you should have access to this. So if not, just let me know and I'll make sure you guys do. In order to attract them as clients, we really have to understand who they are, speak to them in their language. We have to sing the lyrics to their songs, not the other way around. They don't want to hear our songs, guys. They don't care. They're the most ethnically diverse, largest generation in American history. And this is really interesting. Gen Z is going to account for 40% of America's population by this year. So this is a huge generation. So I don't really want to hear people telling me that, there's too many photographers in your town, or, you don't have enough clients. You have enough clients. You have them. You just need to find them. And learn how to attract them with your brand language. We're going to go over that. They're the sober generation. So a lot of this has to do with social media. I've seen a lot at a really young age. So, drug use, alcohol consumption, smoking, even teenage pregnancy is really down in this generation. Not like it was for me, 'cause I'm a Gen Xer. Lord knows we did a lot of that. So this generation, as you can see there, the dates that they were born, the things to really kind of see on this slide, is that they're really a digital, they have a digital existence. Most of them now, the seniors that we're dealing with now, do remember having an analog childhood, like my kids. They had a flip phone before a cell phone, but coming up in the next few years, we're going to see a whole different landscape because those kids really never knew anything different. They have 7 to 8 second attention spans. They're really, really tech savvy. You guys know this. They grew up on YouTube. They prefer video messaging. A lot of them believe that they actually will be famous, and a lot of that has to do with YouTube, but also now TikTok. We're going to get to that too. They're very politically driven, cause driven, and they value co-creating. That's really important because that's really important when you're thinking about your teams. We're going to circle back to that too in a little bit. They're empowered, connected, and they're very empathetic self-starters. Like these kids know what's up. So moving on, this kind of talks about their values. A lot of them are saying that, college isn't really for them. This is one of the first generations that we're seeing in a long time who are turning more to trades or realizing that they can be entrepreneurs at a very young age, which is really, really cool. Self-learners, because again, YouTube, they've been teaching themselves since they were little. A lot of them are taking gap years and they believe in volunteer work. But a lot of them also see the future as uncertain. They really don't really know what's going to happen. And now even more so, right? So we'll get to that too. They're desensitized. They get bombarded with ads constantly. And a lot of them deal with mental health issues. But the really cool part about that is that they're really open to discussing it. And that's really a big change from any other generation. Anxiety is really real. It's a common issue. They understand childhood trauma in a way that, most of us still probably don't even understand it. Like we've really come a long way with that. So that's really great. Gender fluidity is really big in this generation, and inclusion and tolerance. So they have an aversion to working with anyone, any brand or anything that is not inclusive. So that's really something to be aware of in your messaging and your branding. Entrepreneurial, they value expression. They're the on-demand generation. They really don't watch TV. They like to stream, right? And the thing that's really cool here too that I want you guys to see is that they really like products. They like cool stuff. So they do like experiences, but it's really stuff that they're into, and that's good for us, right? They thinking globally. They are very aware of climate change. They're really vocal about it, most of them. They're savers and not spenders, and that's really kind of what happened. That's why one of the reasons why they're compared to that greatest generation. And, they grew up post 9/11, post Great Recession. They're ethnically diverse. And I really wanted to cover this too. Most of them have hovering helicopter Gen X parents who see the happiness of their children as the reflection of their own success. So they've given their Gen Z kids unparalleled influence over the household purse strings to the tune of $600 billion a year. That is really big for us. We need to understand that going forward, because I know in senior photography, we definitely have two different clients. You have to understand who they are, but you've got a senior client, you've got parents. And traditionally, a lot of senior photographers have marketed specifically just to the parents. But I really think that we're going to see a huge turn in that. And that's another reason why I think a lot of people are seeing a drop in business, because their branding is not speaking to them. Gen Z kids are the ones who are calling the shots. They're telling their parents that they want to shoot with you. So creating a relationship with those Gen Z kids is extremely important. Okay. They're not seduced by high-end luxury brands. They do like value, but they value personal style, like more than designer labels. So they want to be unique. They're less likely to wear something that someone else has worn. That's why style closets may not work in the coming years. And if they do, we need to start thinking about ways that we can be creative with style closets. For instance, using things like thrift stores or resale, not necessarily something that you can find off the rack, right? Because a really big hallmark of this generation is that they're big into sustainability, and the fashion industry is not really known for that. So they're really into expressing their individual styles and not looking like everybody else. So maybe you do a style closet of really cool sourced vintage products, vintage pieces that you found. And, you can create different looks for them so that their look is unique. But that's just something to think about going forward. And 82% say they would like to grow their personal brand on Instagram. Okay, so these are just like some basic stats. These are current as of this month. And I think a lot of them are really interesting. I just want to kind of hallmark a couple of them for you. 58% of Gen Z users check their email multiple times a day. So that's going to come up in a little bit in a few when we're talking about emails, because that's not dead. So your email marketing to your Gen Z clients, it's a thing. And you can totally build this and get this to flourish. 60% say they won't use something that's too slow. So that really is important when you're thinking about your website and making it as light as possible. 85% say they use social media to learn about new products. So again, you have to go where your client is. We're going to talk about the different platforms in a second. But social media is huge, right? It shouldn't be all of your marketing, but it is a big part of it. So, it just kind of goes on to talk about their habits as far as online usage and the way that they shop. 68% read 3 or more reviews before they buy something for the first time. That's really, really important. It's going to continue to be really important as we go forward. And we need to be thinking of, interesting and creative ways to use reviews so that they aren't super boring, because again, we're talking about Gen Z. They're not going to sit and read a whole bunch of stuff, right? So videos are huge. If you're not using video in your business right now, that is going to be even bigger in the next year or two, I promise. 62% checks Instagram daily, while 60% visit YouTube daily. So yeah, you can kind of read through some of those. I just wanted to hallmark some of them for you, just so you get a really good idea of who we're talking about statistically. Now, this is a big picture, an overview of Gen Z and who they are. You have to do that inner work on who your actual target client is yourself. That is really important too. So I'm going to talk about that again in just a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure you understand that. Okay, so marketing right to them, right? Something I always like to tell people is that you have to court your clients. You got to date them a little bit, right? So, you have to think about the fact that the thing about Gen Z is that they're very savvy. They're very savvy online. They're going to vet you online many times probably before they even feel comfortable booking with you, just like they do online dating. So they say that by the time Gen Zers go on a date, it's kind of like a third or a fourth date because they have already stalked them online and found out pretty much everything, including their horoscope sign and probably their rising sign, by the time they actually meet them in person or go on a date. So it's kind of the same thing with your business. You got to think that when people hit your Instagram, your site, everything needs to be, you got to kind of speak to them in their language, like I was talking to that before, but they need a lot of touch points from us. And so it's estimated that Gen Z clients need a minimum of 30 touch points from you before they're going to buy from you. That's a lot. That includes, things like emails, Instagram feed, Instagram stories, Snapchats, DMs, texts, whatever it looks like. There's a lot of touch points that are involved in this. So you have to understand that they're not going to just see your brand one time and say, oh, this is an amazing image, I want to book with this person. No, they're going to say, this is an amazing image. And then they're going to go to your Instagram and they're going to see if you have content for them to consume. And we're going to talk about in a minute, because if you don't have content for them to consume, they're going to leave. It's just that simple. So what works when marketing to Gen Z in social media terms, right? Consistency, authenticity are key. If you're not yourself, they are going to smell a fake a mile away. They can tell. Simply posting on your feed once a week is not enough to stay in the sight of Gen Z clients. The algorithm is just like life, right? It gives you more of what you put out. So if you're active on Instagram, not just posting your own stuff, but liking and commenting and interacting and being social with your potential clients or clients, engaging with your clients, that is going to increase your reach as well. So you're going to remain on their feeds, and especially if you can get them to engage with you, that's where it's at. So that's why creating posts with captions that encourage feedback is so great. But authenticity is like the most important thing that you can keep in mind when talking about Gen Z, because they really won't mess with you or even bother to even look into you if they feel like you're just being super fake or trying to be somebody that you're not. Trying to fit in with Gen Zers, just be cool, right? So you have to be you. This all ties into your branding and your message and really understanding who you're talking to. So these are really important things. If you have not outlined your why and your target client and really got that nailed in, you got to spend some time with that. I like a lot of time. So make it about them, but show yourself. You got to show yourself. So many people are like, but Renee, I really hate being on camera. You have to have some FaceTime with your clients. They really want to get to know you. This is their world. You are stepping into their world. And if they are going to know, like, and trust you and want to book with you, you got to kind of show up in their world. Doesn't mean you have to be somebody else, right? You got to be you. And that's that fine line. So you have to spend some time with that. The goods are in the DMs. Encourage people to DM you. I know that's, something that people, even a couple of years ago, photographers were like, I don't want people DMing me. Yes, you do. That's where a lot of your sales, your relationship building is going to happen. They also want storytelling images and copy. This is a really, really big one. More and more, we're seeing Gen Z clients move away from perfectly curated, overposed images, right? The things that they want to post. Instead, they value lifestyle-based imagery a lot, which is one of the reasons why I converted my model team into an influencer team, to help them build their brand if they are interested in doing that, but also because I use our team shoots as an opportunity to shoot lifestyle imagery for them. First of all, it's super easy and fun. And they are much more likely to share images like this one right here on the screen than they are about, super overposed, really tight shots that mom wants on the wall. So you got to kind of know both. And the storytelling images have a lot to do with movement and energy and telling the story of your time together. That all goes in with your brand and your brand messaging. It's just something I really want to put on your radar, because if you're not really diving into that style of photography yet, you really want to keep that in mind with Gen Z. It really matters to them. Also, you need to think of your Instagram highlights as little mini sections of your website and use them to help people know who you are and what you're about, okay? So I love Instagram highlights. I have a ton of them. I think it's one of the coolest tools that Instagram has given us, truly. And if you don't, use this already, you really need to dive into it. It is just the coolest thing ever. So what I love to do is send potential clients that link, so you can get that direct link, right, from whatever highlight. So say I want to send people, because I'm really big believer in pre-selling and wrapping everything up. With a client. So like I'm always pre-selling. And so even in the first inquiry email or whatever it is, I'm going to send a link to my albums highlight link, because I want them to see all these amazing albums that I've created for my clients and what it's going to look like for them. So you can get a link, you can grab your highlight link and you can embed that in emails. You shoot people a text, however it is you want to do it. But you definitely should be using that, because you can be like a little mini YouTube for people. What I said before about if, let's say you shoot, Amanda's, senior pics, and she posts really cool pictures and tags you in it, and then all her friends see it. So they're hitting your Instagram. The first thing they're doing is going to hit your name, and they're going to go to your Instagram, and they're going to see what they can consume from you. And if they don't see anything there on your story, first of all, they're going to probably look at your feed a little bit, but really you're not giving them anything. You have missed an opportunity. You should be posting on your story daily. And it doesn't have to be perfectly curated content that you are creating like every single day and spending hours doing it. You can repurpose your content. You can keep a folder on your phone, and you can actually reuse the same content every week if you want. You can have weekly things, consistent things. Be creative with it, but have something there for them to consume, and throw in some of your daily life about you. They want to know who you are. So this is really, really, really a big deal, right? So do not discount the fact of using your story and using your highlights to market to these kids. Okay. So I have a lot to cover here. Okay. How are we doing on time? All right. So let's talk about the other platforms. And really, I'm not going to go into too much other of these. I'll dive into TikTok just a little bit, because it's very important. Twitter is where your clients will be the most angsty. So if you ever want to get a feel of like how their mental health is, or talking about like hearing their language that they don't really want to have their parents hear, that's Twitter. Facebook's not really something that Gen Z uses too much, but some of them will come back to it right before they go to college, because they want to start curating a really nice social feed for the sororities. So this is a really big thing. And other than that, though, Facebook is a great place for your marketing to your parents. It's still one of the biggest places for them. Snapchat is huge for Gen Z. It's one of the, their favorites. And so I'll usually just post the same content on my Snapchat that I'm posting on Instagram. Sometimes I'll post different stuff, but I'm not as active on Snapchat as I used to be, because Instagram is really my focus. TikTok is really big, you guys. Okay, so TikTok now has over 1.5 billion users. 60% of the app's monthly active users are between 16 and 24. So our target clients are literally living on TikTok, like to the extent that, like you guys, if you haven't been on it, you at least just create a profile, at least just go and see what they're doing. Okay, you don't have to make a profile to see what they're doing. You can just know that until you make a profile, you're gonna get like a feed of everything, right? So it's that algorithm is kind of like Instagram, in the way that the things that you interact with the most, the things that you like and comment on the most and share the most, are what they're going to feed back to you. So until you make a profile and you start liking and commenting, they're just going to throw literally everything at you. So you're going to get a little bit of all the madness. And so it's going to be a little overwhelming at first, right? I'm in the process right now of creating this really, really, really in-depth TikTok tutorial and marketing info for my momentum group. So TikTok is on my brain right now. And I've been really successful with TikTok just in general. I think I have like almost 6,000 followers on TikTok and like 156,000 likes or something. I don't even know. It's so fast. TikTok is so fast. It is one of the most fun ways to use your marketing. And no, you do not have to dance. Okay. If you look at my TikTok, I'm not dancing. So that's kind of the only thing. I know that someone else is going to be talking about an actual TikTok thing here for the seniorology. Um, um, but I wanted to at least talk to you guys a little bit about the fact that you don't have to have 3 million likes on TikTok. Like TikTok. That might not be your goal, right? Your goal is probably not to be TikTok famous with like 3 billion followers. I personally would not want that. That's not probably how you're going to use TikTok. The thing to remember with it is that you can use it for marketing, but you have to be real, you have to be authentic, and like even more so than any other platform. But it doesn't mean you have to dance and do these other trends that other people are doing unless that's you. If that's you, go for it. Have fun, do the dances, like do it all, right? But find out what works for you and do that. Don't feel like you have to do something that everybody else is doing. So yeah, I'm not going to go super, super deep into TikTok, but just know that this is an emerging platform that we're going to see a lot of Gen Z stuff come out of this. Like we can't really advertise on it yet, but I mean you can, but and you know if you have $6,000, but we can't advertise on that yet. So you can still use it though to interact with your clients. You can get them involved in TikToks when you're doing behind the scenes with them. That's one of the favorite things that my clients want to do now. They're like, oh, are we going to make a TikTok? So they get really excited about it because they know I have a lot of followers and they want to be TikTok famous. so so you can definitely use it in that way with your clients as something fun you can add to their experience with you. And then you can also use the hashtags too. Again, I'm not going deep into TikTok. I just really wanted to talk about how important it was. And every single senior photographer on the planet should be using TikTok. Okay, let's talk about what works non-social media marketing to Gen Z, right? So I teased you a little bit earlier where I said email, and yes, email is still king. So you really should be curating an email list and starting to either send out, not just maybe newsletters, maybe call it something, you know, cooler. The point is to build a relationship with your clients and their parents so that you can foster that. You can send them so much information about locations you want to shoot in. You can even, you know, so let's say you start emailing them, you can embed, like I said, links to your highlight or links to your IGTV. There's so many different things that you can use that weaves right into the tech that they're already using too. But they do check their email, and more as they approach graduation, they will be checking it because they're looking for college acceptances, and a lot of school stuff is done on email. So don't discount that. Definitely keep that on your radar. Also, the word of mouth is still a winner. You know, it's like probably still one of the most important things. And when it comes to Gen Z really values word of mouth, just in general when they're purchasing anything. So this is why building a high-end boutique business that delivers value and meaning is so, so important. Gen Z clients rely heavily on the word of their friends, and their parents do too. And they value what their friends have to say, not just on social media. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you don't even know about, right? The idea is to create these super fans by delivering so much value and so much, build that a great relationship with them that they just organically want to, you know, scream your praises to everyone who'll listen. So that's really what's important as far as word of mouth. And also, I want to circle back to what I said before about them liking stuff. They like cool products. So creating a physical item that you can give them in order to refer you, that would be a really cool idea as well, because they really like things like lanyards and chapsticks and pop sockets and stickers. And, you know, I always make sweatshirts or t-shirts for my clients. I made water bottles this year. So, you know, yeah, they like that stuff and they will show it on social media. So that's not going away just yet for Gen Z. So let's talk really quickly about what doesn't work. Stop shooting for other photographers. Literally, if you followed me for half a second, I probably have said this 1.5 million times. We are not marketing to other photographers. Okay, what you like, what I like is going to be a lot different than what a 15, 16-year-old girl is going to like in their marketing, what's going to catch their eye. So really be careful on where you're getting that, your inspiration, and where you're, you know, you're sourcing that inspiration from. So I see this a lot. And this does go back to what I was saying too about how important it really is to know your ideal client. So here's the thing, Instagram can be really awful for our mental health, right? And I'll say this, if the first thing you do in the morning is grab your phone, head to Instagram, and then just start scrolling, especially now, for God's sake, then you're setting up the whole rest of your day as less than, right? Your frequency is already super low. So it's too easy to get sucked into that and to just scroll. And before you know it, you've wasted an hour and you feel like crap because you follow a bunch of senior photographers and all you're seeing is, their imaging and what they're doing. And then you start thinking about, why am I not doing that? Why am I not creating that content? Why didn't I have that idea? Just you need to be really, really firm with yourself on this, okay? So I like to create before I consume. That's one of my rules in the morning. I'm not gonna hop on social media, especially right now. I've limited it a lot, but in general, I wanna create something in the morning before I get on there, and I highly suggest that you consider doing that as well. So that's, I'm not gonna go into too much of that, but on the whole, Gen Zers aren't going to really go for the images that their moms like. Okay, that's a different type of marketing. It's not what we're talking about in this. Also, your kid is not your client, and yeah, that is my daughter. But this is important because even though our Gen Z kids can help us navigate some of the issues regarding social media, the different platforms, asking them what they want and value isn't necessarily going to give you a clear understanding of your target Gen Z client, okay? So I know my client is not my kid. Like, my kid is not my client. That is not my ideal client at all. So if I created all my marketing based on who she is, what she likes, and what her friends do, I'm going to hit the mark, not off. Like, I'm not going to hit the mark. Like, it's going to be, just this frenzy of marketing, and I'm not going to know who I'm talking to. So it's a really common problem I see a lot of photographers do. I'm not saying this is never the case, but in my experience in coaching photographers over the years, this is most often the case. So it's really important to be aware of this, that we don't rely on them for all of our marketing ideas. And again, if you ask your kid right now, hey, what do you think would be a good idea for a TikTok? They're going to look at you and say, don't get on TikTok. So again, your kid's not your client, okay? They're not running your business. You are. You're running your business and you're paying the bills, not them. So, my kids were really young when I started my business, like really young. And had they been teens at the time, I probably would have looked to them for info on, like who they are, what they like, just feel the temperature of that. I didn't start out truly understanding this issue of knowing who my target client is. Like, it took me a while to learn that and to really hone that through education and my own coaching. So if you're doing this, don't feel bad about it. It's really common. I'm only bringing it up because I see it often, and it's an important factor in understanding just Gen Z in general. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about using your talent to create more meaning, because this is really where it's at with Gen Z. Okay, they crave meaning, they crave in-person contact, they crave connections, they crave opportunities to connect offline, which is really hard right now with the social distancing, right? We're going to get to that in a minute. But in general, okay, because this is not going to last forever, you guys. We're going to get through it, and we're going to be able to be next to each other again, and we're going to have team shoots again. So I want you to really hear this information, because it's not going anywhere. Parents will remember how you made their children feel, right? That's really, really important. My Gen Z influencer team members have been talking to me about this for like the past 2 or 3 years for sure. The thing they desire the most out of a team experience is more opportunities to be together in person that are meaningful, intentional, and the images I shoot are like just icing on the cake, right? They love them and they love to share those types of images, but they live in a world like full of virtual meetups and impersonal interactions. And, they really value the times that they're able to connect with people outside of their normal friend groups in person. So the shoots that I do with my team and the way that I design my influencer team, it's just really like meetups disguised as a photo shoot, right? We have a lot of fun. The examples here that are running The one on the beach is the one I did with a big sis, lil sis event with my teams last year. So it was my 2019 team and my 2020 team. They came together. We did a cookout on the beach. The parents came and helped cook out. And we just literally just shot pictures on the beach. Super chill, super easy. And it was one of my favorites and one of their favorites. Like I got the best feedback from that. And then the other one that you saw was a makeup party that I did with my level 1 influencer team. So, you know, really looking for ways for your clients to have more meaningful interactions is going to be super important going forward. Okay, real quick, if you don't know, I do run a podcast called Where Are You Now Podcast. There's the information. If you want to get a feel for like Gen Zers in their own words, check out some of these episodes because I interviewed, kids from all over the country. I'm casting season 2 now because I've just been super busy, but it is a really, really good way for you to just hear about what some of these kids are dealing with, and especially if you are struggling with that. It's really inspirational too. These kids are really amazing. Okay, so let's talk real quick about the importance of brand language. Gen Z is not going to respond to your marketing if they don't see themselves in it. So understanding them and knowing your unique target client, I'm going to say it 50 times, is really important. I can't stress that enough. Knowing them and their pain points, and knowing how to use that in your captions, your copy, everything that you communicate to them is vitally important. That's why I'm so passionate about learning about Gen Z and sharing it with you guys, because it is ever changing and it goes super quick. And it's never been as important as it is now for us to understand this. So your brand language really, really, really matters, which leads me into this post-COVID-19 world that we find ourselves in. So some of the things that I want to talk to you about really quickly are these. There's a lot, but the main thing I'm going to talk about is you got to stay in front of them. You have to stay in front of your clients. I've seen a lot of people online say that they don't feel comfortable marketing or they don't feel comfortable posting because they don't feel like it's important or it matters with what's going on in the world right now. I could not disagree more. Okay, and I know that might not be a popular opinion. I'm going to explain why in just a second. I'm not trying to talk about being a jerk and oversharing and being a sleazy car salesman. That's not what I'm talking about. You got to stay in front of your clients. Okay, so there's 2 aspects really of getting through like any crisis. This is, first of all, you have to recognize, right? You have to recognize what's going on in this reality. You have to understand also that this is not our final destination. So if you have not communicated with your current clients or your 2021 model teams yet, do so now. Send a crisis intervention email, text them, check in with them, FaceTime with them, communicate with them, and let them know that you're thinking about them and that you are thinking about really awesome ways that you can help them finish out their senior year, because most of them just got it scrapped completely. So don't run from this. I know that some of us are just trying to like, oh God, what to do? Don't run from it, okay? The best thing you can do is meet it head on, take a deep breath, and communicate with your clients. Let them know. And even if that means, you know what, guys, I don't really know where to go right now. I'm having a hard time too. What kind of content do you guys want to see from me? Do you want to see business as usual content, or do you want me to, post more stuff about the coronavirus? And, what do you guys want to see from me? They'll tell you. In fact, I think that polling your audience at any time is super important, and you should poll them at least once a year, okay? Especially with Gen Z and how quickly they change right now. So it's really, really, really important for you guys to do that. Serve, okay? So how are you serving your current set of clients? How are you adding value? When you add value and build that relationship, they are much more likely to stick around. So this goes into some of the stuff that I was talking about before. If you've been building relationships with your clients and you've been providing really cool experiences for your teams, they are much more likely to sing your praises and stick around with you even in these uncertain times, because you have done the work. You have dug deep and you have spoken to them in their language. So congratulations if you've done that. And if you're just starting out and you're learning how to do that, start now. It is never too late. Just start now. Take action and do it now. Serve your clients, okay? when you are serving them and you are creating things, even if it's marketing coming from that place, it is not seen as sleazy marketing. It is seen as serving your clients because that is what you're doing. Um, be flexible, right? So are you able to set up payment plans for your clients or prepayment plans, which is a kind of a crazy idea that I have that I might flesh out in my group soon. Talking about pre-selling fall sessions now before things get too bad. I think that there is a way to do that with that mindset of serving your clients and wanting to create something amazing for them. Pivot. What other types of shoots can you do with your clients that will help them commemorate their senior year? Maybe you don't shoot sports, but now all these kids have just lost their ability to play their spring sports. So maybe you want to put together special sports packages or dance packages or cheer packages or whatever that looks like. Mini shoots. I do want to mention, and I've said this a couple times in my group already, I would really be careful about giving everything away, because a lot of photographers are in that place where they feel bad for charging. I've heard a lot of people say, I feel bad for asking for payments right now. And I want to encourage you to consider that not everyone is in a financial crisis right now or yet. So don't assume that someone is having those issues just because you are, right? Or just because it's on your mind, or just because you've gone down a Facebook, panic on repeat cycle for 3 days and you want to just curl up into the fetal position on your bed. Don't assume that people can't pay you. So definitely be considerate and be aware and communicate. Let them know, like, if you don't mention this to them, you will look insensitive. So you actually definitely have to communicate to them, but communicate to them in a way that continues that relationship, continues that conversation that hopefully you've been having since the very beginning with them. Okay, so something I don't want to touch on real quick before we wrap up, because I've totally gone over at the time. Who is taking care of you? This is a really, really, really stressful time. I want to acknowledge that. So when I say, keep doing business, stay actionable, stay focused, I'm not discounting the fact that this is a really shitty time. Okay. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to take notice of where you're at right now. I wouldn't be a good coach if I did not remind you of this. You can't take care of anyone else or your business if you're burnt out, you're struggling, or stressed out, or worried. Okay. Some of the things that you can do: keep a morning routine, especially now that you have kids home. Your husband's probably home. Like, my husband works from home. So thank God I'm already set up for this, because I already have multiple places in the house that I can sneak off to. But some of you really need to readjust that. And so take that time to figure that out and get that set up so that you're not, spinning your wheels and freaking out and just sitting on social media all day and eating donuts. Take care of you. Keep a morning routine. Go for a walk. Okay, we can still go for walks, at least right now. And, give yourself that break. For me, walking is like meditation for me. And I absolutely could not live without my walks. Self-care, right? Anything that looks like. A lot of us are going to come out of this with a whole bunch of gray hair. So literally, because we can't see our hairstylists. So do things that are going to make you feel good about you, even if it's take a shower and give yourself a blowout, or put some makeup on for the day and get on your Instagram stories and talk to your clients. Keep learning. I can't stress that enough. This is a fabulous time for you to dive deep into your business and figure out what's working, what's not working, what you can change, how you can pivot, how you can really serve these clients moving forward. Be creative, okay? You can't be creative when you're stressed. You can't be creative when you're worried, but you can be creative when you're calm and you're centered. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about taking care of yourself. And also reach out to people, talk to people, okay? So one of the things that we have to do in this process is remember to be compassionate to ourselves. It's a really primitive response that we're experiencing, just as the human race. We're designed to, fight, flight, or freeze, right? It's not just fight or flight, it's also freeze. And I think a lot of us are freezing right now, and we're numb, and we don't know what to do. Right. And so you just kind of want to shut down. And that is a very big survival response. It's designed that way to keep us safe, right? So, you first of all, I want you to acknowledge the fact that your unconscious mind is trying to keep you safe. So thank it. And I know it might be, a weird thing to do, but at least that, thank you for keeping me safe. I appreciate it, but I really, I want to move out of this. And when we're trying to come out of scarcity thinking and that kind of like shutdown mode to a place of opportunity and abundance and leadership and caring for other people, we are really trying to move our brains from that self-protective state to a higher level of thinking. And it's not easy to do, okay? Especially if you've never done it before. If you're practiced at it and you already meditate or do hypnosis, you're going to have a little bit easier time doing it. But I think it's really normal if you find yourself devolving into that place and then trying to, bring yourself back, right? It's going to be really normal during this time. And I've definitely had my own experiences like that over the last couple of weeks. You're in good company. I think that every single person has to some degree. And more than that, I promise you it's going to infect your thinking though. If you dive into it too much, right? If you stay on social media too much, if you just, yes, get your information and understand what you need to do, but there's no reason for you to keep going on that and on and on and on, because it doesn't, fear is contagious. It doesn't just infect you and your thinking, your feeling, it infects everyone else around you. And I really don't think that this is the time for us to let that control us. There's a lot of stuff out there that we can't control, a lot, but you can control how you act, how you react, and how you allow this to, shift your thinking. You have control over that, and you have a lot of control over what you're going to let in to your world. And working with photographers over the last several years, the thing that stands out for me the most is that as artists, it's really hard for most of us to reframe, okay, what we do in terms of making money. That's why I went into this coaching photographers in the first place, is because so many photographers are drawn to it. They're great artists, they have a great eye, and then they realize, oh shit, I have to actually make money at this. I have no idea how to do this. I feel bad asking people to pay me. And now with this, you're feeling even worse, right? So I want you to know, first of all, that I was the same way. I struggled for years with this business part of it. I was still holding on to some like really deep subconscious beliefs myself, that I wasn't good enough to charge what I was worth, right? I didn't see my own worth because I was self-taught. I'm a mom, that had all these things that I made up in my mind. My camera wasn't good enough. I'd never done it before, blah, 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 blah. It's all bullshit. It's all lies. And, I want you to remember that your subconscious, will continue to do that until you take control over that and get yourself out of that place. And you do have control to get yourself out of that. You have a choice. It's really up to us to change our state. So you got to be aware of these daily strategies now more than ever to combat this head trash that is going to start popping up. And I also want to remind you guys that when things like this happen, obviously this is unprecedented, but when times of stress like this happen, just in general, what comes to the surface was really there all along. So whatever's coming up for you, whether it's, worry about money, worry about health, worry about the future, all of that was there before. It's just bringing it to the surface. And what a great opportunity for you to work on that. So I want you to try and reframe that and see those things as an opportunity for you to move past, to work on those things that, are obviously coming up for a reason. And you have so many opportunities right now to work on all of these limiting beliefs that you probably wanted to push aside for a long time, and you could, but now we've got all this time in our hands to learn, to hone our businesses, to take care of ourselves, and to get past some of these things so that they don't keep coming back up. Because, we don't know how long this is going to last, but I will tell you that you have the choice to decide how you're going to view it. You can view it as the end of the world, the sky is falling, and, we're all going to die. or you can view it as an opportunity to learn, to create, to take your business in a different direction, to be innovative, to care for your clients in a way that you'd never cared about before, to care about yourself in a way that you'd never done before. So I encourage you to consider that. And I will stop talking about the woo-woo stuff, I promise. But I had to because that's just kind of who I am. That pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about. I want to remind you that your business was valuable before this outbreak, and it is still valuable today, and so are you. And it will continue to be as long as you decide it to be. Whatever you put into it, whether it be time, investing, it's going to come back. So, just remember that. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can find me in all these social channels. And the bottom one is my free Facebook group. So if you're not in there, hop in there. I do a lot of marketing talk, a lot of Gen Z talk. I keep the vibe really high. No mean girls allowed. Um, I am one of those educators. I'm really into helping as much as I can. There's no zip code requirements on my courses or anything like that. Some of my most amazing students that I've coached so far in my online course are literally like a couple hours from me in California and down the street in California. So I want to help. If you need help, reach out and I will do my best to help you. I promise.